good. Get my glasses on. Okay, I like that picture up there. Stole it off the internet somewhere. But in Sunday school, we were talking about scorpions in chapter 9 of Revelation, and we all were like, we're glad we live where the wind hurts our face in the winter and all that, because we don't have scorpions. And we were reminded several times as we were going through the passage, not in Minnesota. Not in Minnesota. In Texas, yep. Scorpions in Texas, just saying, just be careful. Going to Florida has some of the worst snakes there are, especially those, I think the out-of-control pythons that escaped from people's places, now they're not poisonous, but they'll scare you pretty good. And they taste like chicken anyway, so I do know that. So, dark chicken. All right. Okay, let's, a couple housekeeping items here. Christmas Eve, we are going to meet here at 4:30, as was mentioned, have a time of worship. I hear special music is happening. I forgot about this. You take that microphone. Oh, which reminds me, this new podium is beautiful, and there's enough room on it that Greg didn't feel compelled to touch my stuff while it was all up here. So thank you to Glenn and for the bookshelves. Stop in and see the bookshelves in my office. Wonderful, again. And there's something else hanging in there too in between the bookshelves that you're welcome to go look at and gawk and be in awe of if you wish as well. I won't say what that is, but you can stop and look. And the candy dish has got to be empty by now, looking at the traffic going in and out of there this morning. But anyway, all right, back to the Christmas Eve. Please come and join us at 4:30 p.m. We don't want to get in the way of all that family time, but we do as a church family want to get together, and there's going to be special music. Can't wait. They've been practicing hard, okay? Just saying. Which reminds me, under the TV in the foyer, there are 3 QR codes. One's NBC Connect. If you're attending here with us and you want to keep up to date on things, that kind of things, scan that and it puts you right in the system. So you'll get emails automatically, or you can scan the prayer one as well, or and get on our prayer team, which goes out to 60-some people all over the world, well, in Arizona at least, and soon to be Texas, that if a prayer request comes up, that gets shot out right away, and you have 60-plus people praying for you. And then if you're a visitor, scan the visitor one, and you never know. I won't show up at your door, but I might call you. So, but anyway, I just wanted to say a reminder about those codes. Okay, and then a week following, we're going to binge in the new year. One of the sayings of the chosen is binge Jesus, which I think is wonderful. Why? Because that's a lot better than binging some of the other garbage out of there, right? So we're going to have a few episodes picked out to cover on New Year's Eve. Where there's free popcorn, so come on and enjoy it. Bring blankets, pillows, whatever you want. We'll make some space up on either side here. So if you got kids that you're worried about if they could last till midnight, they can fall asleep right down here or over on that side if you want. But we want to have a great time New Year's Eve. You could bring some games if you want, munchies. Yeah, bring some munchies as well as free popcorn. But we want to just have a good New Year's Eve together, and so that's what we're planning here, and it'll begin at 7 p.m. or earlier. We're always here early, so you can come early too if you want. All right. Oh, and look at this. Whew. We are going to have a wild game feed. Details coming soon. Who remembers the good old wild game feeds at Northern Bible Church? Well, we're bringing them back, okay? And if you don't have any wild game to contribute, don't worry. There's frozen section out here on the highway. You'll be able to get some. Yep. Frozen meats. All about that, right? Anyway, we haven't, it'll be in the New Year sometime. We haven't selected a date yet, but we're going to put this out there and have a special speaker, and we're going to have a good time together. And it's not just for guys. Hey, lots of women hunt. Smoke a buck here and there, that kind of thing. But anyway, I am excited about this, that we bring this back and have that fun evening together. I spoke at it once upon a time, I think in the old building was when I did, and they somehow wanted me to talk about the delicacies of Papua New Guinea, and I was like, oh, well, you know what? Wild boar is really good. But we get a leg of that every once in a while. But anyway, it's a lot of the other things, not so nice. But we are going to have that wild game feed. So you'll see if you go to the website under events, all these things are listed there. I want to push traffic to the website, and that's there as well. And one other thing, I don't know if it's in the bulletin, but Kristen and I were talking about if you're gone or whatever and you want an outline of the message, we'll send that to you via email in a PDF form. We're not going to mail them out just because it costs a lot to do that nowadays, but we can send that out online if you want to request those, and just you can send the request to me, or you can send it to mediacoordinator@northernbible.com and get those if you like. And I'll send you all of them if you want. I have to send you a zip file, but anyway. All right, let's move on and get to work here today, because we're going to break bread here as well this morning. And I just appreciate Greg saying again, sometimes I do appreciate you. And I do all the time. But I appreciated him bringing out the teaching last week, devoted to the teaching of the Word, devoted to breaking bread, which we are going to do today, devoted to prayer together, and of course, devoted to fellowship. We have fellowship opportunities coming up, folks, that would be good for you to attend and be here with us for those. So, anyway, this week in the teaching, I'm going to cover the package from God to mankind. This week we're going to go through the guarantee of delivery. I'm going to have some statistics for you here in a second, which I've got a little burn in my saddle about right now, but we'll get to that in a minute. Okay, and then next week we're just going to focus on the package and the gratitude on receipt. You know what I find? It's so easy to order stuff nowadays, we forget to be thankful. We complain more because it's not here right away. That happens to us. We get a little too comfy. All right, so that'll be next week. And then the following week after that, I didn't make a slide for it yet. On the 28th, we're going to talk about rewiring for the new year, how you can change your thinking in preparation of a new year coming. I'm not going to give you a list of resolutions. No, I'm going to tell you how to rewire your thinking, okay, which is important. All right, so let's get going on this today, the package and the guarantee of delivery. And the first thing is, in December 2025, it's estimated that how many packages will be shipped worldwide? Throw a guess out there, and nobody say it that already knows it. Right back there. Over 1 billion? Good guess. 300 trillion and 75, which would be 3.5. Okay, that's a little far north, but that's okay. Good guesses. One more over here. 800 packages? That's only to my house. Well, that's to how many? 6 million trillion. Well, some of those numbers I'm not sure even how to think about. But anyway, all right. Did a little digging on this, and our favorite postman, actually we have 2 of them in here. Excuse me. You know what the wonderful thing about this is? You didn't know I was hiding a bottle of water under there, did you? Thanks, Glenn. All right. Did a little research on this, and I was like, I got to look in a few more places, but this is what I found. 407 billion. And our post guy here, postman, he said, It's well north of a billion packages. Yeah, it is. 407 billion packages worldwide. That's a lot of moving of boxes and Christmas gifts and different things like that. Well, how many packages are lost or stolen daily in the U.S.? 300 billion. Did you say 300 billion or? You got to get together those kids because we got to figure those numbers out. But anyway, all right. Well, they say 1.7 million, and that's from what's that called? Packlane.com. And I was like, that's crazy. Now, my order on Amazon is in that because last week I got, your package is delayed till Tuesday. Then I get a notice, your package is delayed until Wednesday. On Thursday, I get a notification, your package is delayed with no date on it. So maybe it's in the black hole of packages. I don't know. Now, I know we're more competent than the developing country I lived in for so long, where once upon a time, in one of the hangars in the capital city, they went in there and there was a mountain of parcels there, some of which were like 5 years old. And they just threw them in there and never did anything with them. Well, we do have a little problem with porch pirates, and I'll get to that in a little bit here in the U.S. But it gives you an idea that packages, we're not always guaranteed the delivery of them. Now, it's amazing the logistics and everything that goes into it to get those packages to us. But I'm talking today that we have a guarantee of delivery of God's package from himself to mankind. So let's talk about it. Delivery is based on character. Genesis 3:15, and somebody's going to read that for us. Oh, Mark, thank you.
Enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and hers. He will crush your head, and you will strike his heel.
Did you know that this is the first Christmas verse in the Bible? Did you ever think of it that way? God, in Genesis 3:15, and we've obviously talked about this a lot because we did our foundations teaching, which is why we do foundations teaching, because we're going to refer back to our foundation over and over and over again. This is the first Christmas verse in the Bible. And God is telling us here, I am putting in the order for you. Think of it that way before? We're so used to doing everything for ourselves. We get online, we order, we do this, we do that. We forget that, you know what? God put the order in. The promise all the way back there, even before they left the garden. God says, I am sending you a package. That's going to come to you, and it's going to be guaranteed because of his character. Why? Because everything that God says is true, and everything that he says comes true. It happens. Doesn't matter what it is. If he says it, it's going to happen. We saw that previously in creation. God spoke, and it appeared. God spoke, and it happened. God spoke, and it was in perfect order. He spoke, and the sun and the distance we are from the sun was perfectly set in place so that we don't freeze or cook. With the change of a very, very small amount, it would happen. But God has done that. Because if he says it, it's going to happen. So what does that mean? Man had a need now, right? He was separated from God because of his sin. But God has said he will meet the need. He put in the order for us. That's going to happen. Okay? If he says it, it will happen. We have to trust what he says. We have to believe him in what he says. Now, right now I'm not believing Amazon and their delivery track, right? Why? Because it didn't show up, what I ordered. And I hope it does, because it might be for my wife, right? I thought of you this year, honey. Aren't you excited? Okay. Now, she might laugh when it comes, but anyway. But if God says it, it's going to happen. It will happen, guaranteed. Now, we may not know the timing always. Does that mean there's no guarantee? No. It means it's still guaranteed that it's going to happen. But he doesn't always tell us when it's going to happen or when it's going to arrive. But it will happen. He makes a promise here that he will fulfill. Now, if you want some parenting advice, be careful about the word promise to your kids. I tried to stay away from the word promise because, hey, Dad, can we do this? And I promise we'll do that someday. That's not a promise. I'll look into it, see if it's feasible, if we can do it. But when my kids heard from my lips that we were going to do something, it was guaranteed. Why? Because I want to establish character with them. This is the same as God. We can learn from him that it's about his character when he makes a promise. He doesn't throw them out there flippantly. Now, we may not know the timing, but we know it's going to happen because the guarantee is sure based on his character. And in Genesis 3:15, he's putting the order in. It's going to be delivered. Okay. All right, let's look at this then. Delivery is based on reliability. Now, why would I choose some verses about Joseph? Well, let's read them. Genesis 45, 1 to 8. Somebody out there has those somewhere. Who's got those? Do I need to read them? Okay. I guess I need to read them. That's fine. I know how to read. In case you are wondering. Genesis 45, 1 to 8. This is one of the most, well, they're all beautiful passages in the Bible, but this is just beautiful. Then Joseph could no longer control himself before all his attendants, and he cried out, "Have everyone leave my presence!" So there was no one with Joseph when he made himself known to his brothers. And he wept so loudly that the Egyptians heard him, and Pharaoh's household heard about it. And Joseph said to his brothers, "I am Joseph. Is my father still living?" But his brothers were not able to answer him because they were terrified at his presence. Think of the drama in this, folks. This is unreal. Then Joseph said to his brothers, "Come close to me." When they had done so, he said to them, "I am your brother Joseph, the one you sold into Egypt. And now do not be distressed, and do not be angry with yourselves for selling me here, because it was to save lives that God sent me ahead of you. For 2 years now there has been famine in the land, and for the next 5 years there will not be plowing and reaping. But God sent me ahead of you to preserve for you a remnant on earth and to save your lives by deliverance. So then, it was not you who sent me here, but God. He made me father to Pharaoh, lord of his entire household, and the ruler of Egypt." Why do I say that God's guarantee of delivery is because it's based on reliability. The circumstances in which Joseph found himself was a myriad of different situations that took place where, you know what, God intervened. Not only was he beaten by his brothers and thrown into a pit, and then sold as a slave, and then thrown into jail because of wrong accusations, and then hung out in the jail for several years. And here now he's the second to Pharaoh. Only God can do that, folks. Only God can work that out because he's reliable. Joseph went through so much to get to this place where God would be able to have him, the person in place, to save a remnant of Israel. Why? Because God made a promise. And he made a covenant that he was not going to break. And Joseph had to go through all of that. But Joseph did not waver in trusting God. I don't know. I don't know if I could have done it. I'm kind of wimpy. But I pray that, if we see hard times in our nation here, that what do? I don't waver on trusting God because he's reliable. And I know many times people have said, how can you trust God? And I said, well, you got about 1,000 pages of evidence right here. It's all documented. Pick it up and read it. And this is one of those incredible stories where God had to preserve the Israelites in order to fulfill his promise of bringing the Redeemer to mankind. Okay? And so Joseph was used by God to preserve that promise, to preserve that line that would bring the Redeemer that he had laid out way back in Genesis 15, and then subsequently made his covenants with Abraham. Okay? And Joseph was reliable because God was reliable. At first they were terrified. Oh, we're hooped now. No. But Joseph was reliable because God was reliable. He understood the big picture of seeing that God was preserving his people. And I don't want to downplay it at all. I'm sure there were times he had doubts. If he was a normal person, had doubts in the midst of that and just said, why? Well, I'm a promoter of asking why. But not to your fellow man, not to those that are in your circle, but you ask why to God, because he wants to hear you. And God might not answer that why, but he's definitely going to answer the how. Here's how it's going to happen. That's a big difference. But he wants that relationship there. And he had that with Joseph. I cannot imagine being in that Egyptian prison. Our prisons today, free internet, free TV, get your master's degree, you can do this, that, and the other thing. Nah, not like that at all, folks. Actually, even that he survived it is a miracle, because many times family would have to come and feed you in those types of prisons. You don't have any family, you're not eating. And when you're under duress, you're not real good about sharing food. But somehow he stuck through by the grace of God, and he knew that God was reliable in everything that he said. All right, third thing here is the delivery cannot be disrupted. Isaiah 9, 6 through 7.
And for to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and of peace there will be no end, on the throne of David and over his kingdom, to establish it and to uphold it with justice and with righteousness from this time forth and forevermore. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will do this.
Thank you. Okay. let me go back here. The delivery of God's package cannot be disrupted. Now, we don't know the time, right? We don't know when that's going to happen. Well, we do now because we're looking back. But you know what I'm saying? At this time, we don't know the exact time when that's going to happen. Can't be disrupted. Now, I had a little video I wanted to show you because I just love porch pirate videos. What's happening nowadays is people are running up to people's porches and stealing packages off of them. How do you control that? Right? Well, here's how you control it. So people are fighting back. And you can actually buy these online and put a fake package on your porch if you're having trouble with porch pirates. And if you want a good laugh, look it up later, porch pirates and exploding packages, okay? Because people are tired of what? Things aren't being delivered. Well, actually it got delivered and somebody's stealing it off the porch. If it isn't bad enough that a truck goes off the road and all the packages, go spilling that can happen too. And if that happened in a third world country, well, that's why your package is no longer able to be found, because I've witnessed trucks going off the road in a developing country, goes off the road, axes and hammers come out and they're cutting open the container and stealing everything out of it. We don't see that happen here. Well, actually, let me take that back. A few years ago, I think we saw that in Target. Windows being smashed and people running out with 5-finger discounts, right? Terrible. That's shameful. And it's shameful to steal a package off the porch of someone's house. Don't stoop to that. Okay? But God's delivery cannot be interrupted. It's reliable. It's going to happen. Okay? So, the Messiah would carry the nation. These are beautiful verses, and it does refer to Christ coming. Maybe it's not all fulfilled yet, but these are verses about the Messiah coming, okay? That are very important. He would carry the nation. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government will be upon his shoulders. He will carry the nation someday, okay? And he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and peace there will be no end, okay? He will be given great honor someday. Now, they really wanted it to happen back when he first came. But that's the establishment of the throne of David right there when Christ did come. It's just the full fulfillment of it would be later on, okay? But he would be given great honor. The Messiah's reign would not have an end to it. And again, they wanted that to take place. They wanted to see him beat down the Romans and make it all happen there. But God had to fulfill the first part of the promise with the redemption of mankind first. Okay? So, but it's not going to have an end. Has anybody ever sat and listened to a live performance of Handel's Messiah? Like by a big orchestra. It is amazing. If you don't know what Handel's Messiah is, that's your second thing you can go home and look up after the Porch Pirates. Maybe do the Messiah one first, actually. But Handel's Messiah is based on this passage right here, and it is exhilarating to listen to. Beautiful. Okay? The Messiah will be established by the zeal of the Lord of hosts. Why is the delivery going to happen? Because the zeal of God himself will make it happen. This is not a man-made endeavor. Do you remember when Jesus was in the crowds there and he was healing them and showing them all those miracles? And what did they want to do? They wanted to make him king right there. And maybe you could say he pulled one of his God cards, I guess. But he walked out from the midst of them. Why? Because it wasn't time. But man sure wanted to do it. That's the zeal of man wanting to make things happen that God said he's going to make happen. And what do you know is that he doesn't allow it to happen because the zeal of the Lord of hosts is going to make this happen. Kind of puts us at ease a little bit. Not that we don't have responsibilities, but that peace in our hearts, if we rely on the character of God and his ability to do these things, then yes, we can be at peace in the midst of them. Okay, we know on this side that the delivery is complete. All right, Romans 5, 6 to 11. Beautiful verses. Again, if somebody got those and you'd be...
At the right time, Christ died for the ungodly. For one will scarcely die for a righteous person, though perhaps for a good person one would dare even to die. But God shows his love for us in that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. Since therefore we have now been justified by his blood, much more shall we be saved by him from the wrath of God. For if while we were enemies we were reconciled to God by the death of his Son, much more now that we are reconciled shall we be saved by his life. More than that, we also rejoice in God through our Lord Jesus Christ, through whom we have now received reconciliation.
Okay, thank you. What does this tell us? At the right time, Christ died. It's beautiful. God is reliable. It's his character. It's innate in his character. When he says something, it's going to happen. And at the right time. We don't determine that time. God determines it. And at the right time, that happened. It tells us there. So you see, just at the right time, while we were powerless, Christ died for the ungodly. And it was while we were still sinners that Christ died. Sometimes we read over this and just don't absorb the truth of it. While we were yet sinners. Why? Why does it say that? Because we could do nothing to take care of our situation. If we really, really understand how unacceptable we are in sin, this would mean that much more to us. God did not do this because we somehow fixed ourselves up and were acceptable to him. No. It's while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. Because we can't change our situation. We have to accept the fact that we are unlovely to God, unacceptable to him, in and of ourselves. There is nothing we can do. It's like that old illustration is, you don't clean up to take a bath. No, you plunge yourself as you are beneath what Christ has done on the cross. That's what makes you acceptable. So while we were sinners, Christ died for us. We are saved by him and nothing else. It goes all the way back to Genesis 3:15. He will crush the head of the serpent. That's when God put the order in for us. And now it's fulfilled, it's delivered, it's complete. Because now we are saved by him. Nothing in and of ourselves that we can do to accomplish that. And therefore, we are now reconciled to God. What does that mean? Well, it's not that we've equally become friends again, because you know what? I cannot be a friend of God. He has to do something. So through the death, burial, and resurrection of Christ, we have been reconciled to God. See, God didn't have to satisfy anything on our part to become our friend. He has no IOU column on his side. No, he's perfect, holy, just. We're the ones that have a great big IOU, a debt. And the reconciliation is of us to him. And only he could perform that. So that's what that means there, is that God reconciled us to himself. And there's no other way. So what does that mean for us today? Well, many of you know this already and have put your faith and trust in Christ. But there's a package on your doorstep, folks. What do you have to do to get that package? Well, there's no work you can do to earn it. And that's not what I'm talking about. But what you do have to do is open up the door. You got to make yourself vulnerable. What if you got a package delivered to your door and it didn't have Amazon on it, or a United States Postal sticker on it, or that kind of thing? Somebody just came and left a package with nothing on there. You might be a little bit suspect. But we have lots of evidence that God has put a package on our door because he said he was going to deliver something to us. We have to be willing to open the door and take the package, accept its contents, and realize I did nothing to get this package. But there has to be a willingness there, a change of mind about who you are so that you'll receive the package. And that's simply what we're talking about today. And if you've never done that, if you have never realized that God has sent you a package in the form of his Son that is to take care of your sin problem and to reconcile you with him again, I would encourage you to seek somebody out and talk to them about that. That you ask, hey, I have never really understood the message of the Bible. But I believe God's speaking to my heart that he wants me to know what that is. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and move into our breaking of bread time here. I'm going to go ahead and pray and as we move into that, and then we'll spend some time remembering the Lord today. So Lord, I do thank you that we have a guarantee of delivery for what you have done for us, and that package came in the right time. It came in a perfect way, and it's the perfect gift for each one of us that you have reconciled us to yourself through what Christ Jesus did for us. And it was while we were sinners. There was nothing we could do to change our condition. It's who we are when you revealed this to us, when you delivered. And so I pray that if anybody in here doesn't understand that great gift, has not opened the door of their heart to receive what you have done for them, that you would make that clear to them and they'd put their trust in what you've done. So thank you. We can spend some time now remembering that great act of salvation that you did for us as we break bread together. In Jesus' name, amen.